There are some hauntings that fade into folklore, stories told in hushed voices, dismissed as imagination or exaggerated over time. And then there are cases that refuse to disappear, because too many people heard it, too many people saw it, and too many questions remain. This is the story of the Battersea Poltergeist. It began in 1956, in a modest council house at 63 Wycliffe Road, specifically in the district of Battersea. The house belonged to the Hitchings family, ordinary people, working class, not known for theatrics, not seeking attention. At the centre of the events was a teenage girl named Shirley Hitchings. She was 15 years old, quiet, studious, by all accounts unremarkable, until the knocking began. At first it was faint, tapping sounds in the walls, scratching noises under the floorboards. The family assumed it was rats, old pipes, the natural creaks of an ageing building. But the sounds grew louder, more deliberate, knocks that seemed to respond to conversation, raps that echoed through the house at all hours. Then came the movement. Objects shifted from where they had been left. Small items went missing. Light bulbs unscrewed themselves. Furniture trembled. The family grew frightened. Neighbours began to notice. The disturbances did not stay contained within one room. They followed Shirley. Where she went, the activity seemed to intensify. Poltergeist cases often centre on adolescents, particularly teenage girls. Some researchers have speculated about subconscious energy, repressed emotion, psychokinesis. Others see nothing more than elaborate pranks, but what made this case unusual was the attention it attracted. A local paranormal investigator named Harold Chibbett became involved. He took the family seriously. He documented the events meticulously. He claimed that the entity communicated through coded knocks, that it answered questions, that it even expressed affection for Shirley. According to reports, the presence identified itself as Donald. It claimed to be the spirit of a Frenchman who had died centuries earlier. The story grew stranger. Appliances malfunctioned, cutlery bent, a heavy chest of drawers reportedly toppled, almost crushing Shirley. At one point, small fires broke out inside the house. Unexplained, brief, terrifying. The police were called. Officers witnessed knocking sounds. They saw objects shift, but no clear culprit was ever caught. Some officers suggested trickery. Others admitted they could not explain what they had seen. The media arrived soon after. Newspapers published headlines about the Battersea ghost. Crowds gathered outside the house. Skeptics accused the family of fabricating the events for attention. But the Hitchings family gained little from the publicity. No fortune, no comfort, only stress. Shirley's health began to suffer. She lost weight. She grew anxious. School became difficult. The atmosphere inside the home was heavy with fear. The disturbances reportedly continued for 12 years. Not constant, but recurring. As Shirley grew older, the activity diminished. By the late 1960s, it had largely stopped, as abruptly as it had begun. To believers, the case is one of the most compelling poltergeist accounts in British history. Multiple witnesses, police involvement, years of documentation. To skeptics, it is a classic example of mass suggestion. A family under pressure, a teenager seeking attention, or perhaps expressing turmoil in unconscious ways. Harold Chibbett later published a book detailing the events. He stood by his investigation. He insisted the phenomena were genuine. Critics pointed to inconsistencies. Moments where Shirley was alone when activity occurred. Opportunities for misdirection. But no definitive confession ever emerged. No clear exposure of fraud, and no scientific explanation satisfied everyone. Poltergeist phenomena often follow a pattern. They erupt suddenly, escalate, centre around one individual, and then fade. The Battersea case fits that pattern, yet its longevity sets it apart. 12 years is a long time to maintain a hoax, especially under scrutiny, especially under police observation. Decades later, interest in the case resurfaced. Researchers revisited witness statements. Podcast hosts re-examined the timeline. Filmmakers dramatised the events. In 2021, a BBC podcast series brought renewed attention to the story. Listeners once again debated, was it paranormal, psychological, or something in between? The house itself has long since returned to normalcy. No reports of further hauntings, no new outbreaks, just another address in South London. Cars pass by, children walk home from school. Life continues. But for those who lived through it, the memories never faded. Shirley Hitchings maintained throughout her life that she did not fake the events, that she was frightened, that she did not understand what was happening. And perhaps that is the most unsettling part, because whether one believes in spirits or not, the fear was real, the stress was real, the disruption to a family's life was real. So what was the Battersea Poltergeist? A restless entity calling itself Donald, a manifestation of adolescent strain, an elaborate misunderstanding amplified by media, or a case that reveals how fragile our certainty can be when faced with something that refuses easy explanation? In the end, there were no exorcisms broadcast on television, no dramatic confrontations, just years of knocking in the dark, of objects shifting in quiet rooms, of a family trying to live normally while something unseen made itself known. The Battersea Poltergeist remains one of Britain's most debated hauntings, not because it offers clear proof, because it sits in that uncomfortable space between belief and doubt, between the rational and the unknown, and as long as questions remain unanswered, the knocking echoes on. You've been listening to an audio podcast about the Battersea Poltergeist, a haunting that disturbed a South London home and continues to divide belief and skepticism to this day. If you found this episode interesting, thought-provoking, or informative, please take a moment to like this episode, subscribe to the podcast, and share it with others who enjoy true crime stories and discovering mysteries from our forgotten history. Your support helps us continue exploring real cases, real history, and the stories that shaped the past. Thank you for listening. This has been History's Mysterious Minds.